Welcome back to the Business Growth Playbook. I am Jeff. I'm here with my good buddy, Dean. Dean, how are we doing today?
Hey, we're doing great.
Good. Awesome. I'm glad.
I think we're getting ready to play some cards.
It looks that way. We are in an undisclosed location today for this recording because it is the holidays. And so you got to do what you got to do to get the episodes done.
Exactly.
Well, today we have an awesome guest with us. His name is Dmitriy Teplinskiy. Dmitry, how are we doing?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good. Dmitry has created this amazing CRM program called SalesHubHQ. And Dmitry, why don't you go ahead and tell us about yourself and the program?
Yeah. So this was, I guess I'll give a little bit about my background. I've been, since about 2010, I've been an entrepreneur. So I had several different businesses. One of them that I'm still fully engaged in is Alpha CIS, and that's been kind of my main business that I've been focusing on. Since throughout that time, though, I've had several other businesses. I had a limo service. We did some graphics and apparel company. Did e-commerce. So it's a B2B space, business to consumer space. And this is about in 2020, I sort of kind of took a different role at Alpha CIS where I was working on growing the business and doing the marketing for that. And struggled a lot with getting systems to work together and be able to actually, accomplish results that we're trying to do. So that kind of led me down to the path of starting the SalesHubHQ, which sort of came as a need for our own, for our own way to run our marketing. And then that kind of grew over to us being like, well, hey, if we're struggling that hard and we're a tech company, then certainly other small businesses are also struggling in this regard. So I kind of started looking around and realizing that, a lot of small businesses don't have a lot of the tools and systems in place. They might have a CRM, and nowadays you look at CRMs, they're all tools, and a lot of they all kind of do similar things. The main difference is how you implement them and make it work for your business. And so that's kind of what we do with SalesHubHQ is we're implementing the framework and the methodology and the systems into people's businesses. So
awesome.
Could you kind of take a step back? Because I know in the spotlight you just did at Trushtegrity a few weeks ago, I think people were taken back with kind of your life story, where you were born, what you lived through, how did you come to the U.S.? I thought that was a very good story that you should share.
Yeah. Thanks, Dean. So I was originally born in Ukraine. Half my family still lives there. We moved here when I was 9, about to turn 10, and came here. I didn't speak any English, so going to school was pretty tough. Interesting part was that I was always involved. Like I always loved technology when I was a little kid. And the reason why is because my grandpa was actually one of the head guys at Chernobyl. And I was actually there when it blew up. So I was 1 year old.
So you had to run pretty fast.
Yeah, exactly. Learn to run quick. But yeah, it was some cool stories. You could see the glow of the reactor outside of our window kind of thing. He had the first, he knew what happened before they cut off the communication and everything. So it was interesting. It was an interesting story. So then we basically I grew up there, moved here, and then kind of lived around Georgia, but around this area, Alpharetta, Cummings. So and it's just kind of been kind of just where I grew up.
No, great story. And I know you've been in a lot of different businesses, but one you probably didn't elaborate on that you should, because I think SalesHubHQ is most related to your core business with Alpha and CIS. And I think you might want to walk through that, because I know I was taken back with the stability, the longevity of that company, and the wide array of services you provide to small businesses, but also a lot of mid-sized enterprise businesses.
Yeah. So with Alpha CIS, we're a managed IT service company. So the businesses that, we provide, like Dean said, a wide variety of services, primarily from managing their, cloud infrastructure to managing the endpoints to implementing projects, migrating to the cloud, everything that's basically requires to run a small business. We're kind of our hands in it. The thing that kind of led me to the Sales Hub and kind of going in that direction was our own need for the marketing, for being able to put together systems that, one, being able to get traffic to our website, then being able to convert that traffic, being able to figure out, the content that works and doesn't work. And this is all primarily in B2B space, which is, it's different. It usually has longer sales cycle and things like that. So being able to implement all those things into one system and offer it to small businesses is kind of where we're at with Sales Hub.
IT in a box.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah.
And you might want to walk through a little more, because I watched him at Forsyth Business Exchange, Melanie Zeman's group that she built. And, because I always would watch Dmitriy walk in and it's like, what the heck does he do? And, but when he went through the Sales Hub, it was interesting because he's done some things almost like a friends of family with a few folks. But, immediately he did that with SalesHubHQ. And I started watching the reaction. And, one of the things that stood out is you're the only person that I know that is an owner of a CRM company that any customer can touch in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm not saying there's not another. I'm not aware of it. And as you know, I probably deal with 10, 15 different CRM providers with what I do.
Yeah, I think having the local touch is obviously important. Like I worked with Dean, and we get together, we strategize, we come up with things that work, that don't, and kind of implement that into his business. But a lot of the things, so the methodologies really came to essentially behind the Sales Hub HQ is we talk about this 5R almost framework. And the way we break it down is, it's a pyramid, and the layers are reliability. So that's providing service to your customers, making sure that they are able to get to you. You have a good experience that's repeatable. Mm-hmm. The next step is being able to have a reputation out there. So when people go to you, right now it's all social proof. So before you buy anything, usually you go on, Amazon reviews, you go on Google reviews, you look at the reviews prior to any purchase, right? And if enough people say that it's good, then
especially Gen Y, Gen Z.
Yeah, exactly. And even short clips and things like that, right? It's all just social proof of people proving why you should get this product. So social proof is critical too, right? So those are kind of the two bases. Then there's the readiness, so the ability to then accept traffic. So when somebody says like, "Hey, I want," and you talk to most small businesses, they all say, "Hey, I just want leads. That's all I really want," right? But the problem is that most of the businesses, if you were to send them 100 leads, they wouldn't be able to capitalize on it. They don't have anything in place to do that, right? They don't have they don't have a way to follow up with them. They don't have a way to even capture them. So most of the times they'll just go on their website and leave because one, that wasn't even relevant information that was on their website that they were looking for, or there was no quick, easy way for them to get in touch with them. So perfect example, they have a phone number, right? How many small businesses have you called that they didn't pick up the first time?
Tons.
Pretty much happens.
Yeah. Oh, they always answer my call.
Well, besides Dean, they have Dean on saved on auto dial. But yeah, so any small businesses usually aren't, like a mechanic shop will have a dude who is answering the phone, but is also laying underneath the car, right? So a lot of the times that happens. So we kind of realized that, and we're like, okay, well, so there's the, that. Then there's also somebody goes to your website in the middle of the night and they're trying to get some information about your business. What are they going to do? They're going to, submit a contact form with a question, right, that you're going to reply back a week later to, which is the other thing that happens often. So again, talking about having the ability to be able to take that traffic that you're either paying for or you're doing something that people will find you, but being able to then convert and do something with it. So that's kind of the readiness portion of that. And a lot of the things come in there where it's tools that you could put in place. So for the readiness, we put in things like AI chat on the website that we train it with the company data so that it can answer when somebody comes in the middle of the night. They could chat to somebody who appears to be like a real person and get the information that they need pretty quickly without having to wait for you to reply back to a contact form.
Is that generally your Ukraine customers that are?
Exactly. Yeah. It's we do a little conversion, with translation. And then the other thing is, voice AI. So people are always, this is an interesting one because people are like, no, I want to talk to real people. And that's fine. But what's better than talking to a real person? The next best thing is to talking to somebody at least, right? And oftentimes that's where people don't realize that they won't have a way, if it goes to a voicemail, again, that voicemail will be something that you're going to answer in a day or two, right? But a better option is if you call and there is nobody picks up, but you can talk to then it gets transferred over to a voice AI agent who can get your information, be able to book an appointment with you to then meet with you, right? So you could say like, hey, I have a question about your pricing. Like, hey, no problem. I can go through the pricing and features. What's a good time for you that we can schedule a call for that, right? And it can go through the process of booking you a time. And then once that happens, that lead is now dropped inside the CRM as a prospect. And then of course there's automations and everything that follows up to make sure that they show up to the appointments. So things like that come into as far as the readiness goes. Also, a lot of the times people are things like, for example, somebody goes on your website, right? Oftentimes you'll see like, hey, put in your contact information and download this awesome content, right? Something, in Dean's case, it's like a playbook that he does. So being able to then capture their information. And then now, once you have that information, you can now put them into the newsletter that you have. You can follow up with them. You can follow up with them on the topic that they submitted the request for. So like playbook, so sales strategy and growth. So, so all those things are basically, components of marketing and sales that most people don't. Most businesses don't really implement in the correct way. Yeah, you could probably implement. There's a million tools that you could do that with. Mm-hmm. But actually have it all put together is, I think, where most people struggle with.
But without question, as you know, with Sales Growth Imagination, I live around building out sustainable models, sales process, infrastructure, framework. I probably touch 10, 15 different CRM companies. So generally, when I go into an account, whether it's Zoho, Pipedrive, HubSpot, Salesforce, Monday, whatever it may be, what you generally find is it's not set up correctly. They're not using it. If you mention words like workflow, webhooks, open API, people are like, what's the purpose of that?
Yeah.
So generally, fortunately, I have, as you already know, like Target integration with Amon. They're pretty much agnostic across all platforms, or Matasales with Pipedrive specifically, or even here in Atlanta, Brad Banyas with OM&I. I think you're aware of Brad. Now that's more higher end custom, a lot in Salesforce and ERPs. Mm-hmm. But the common thread is that is trying to get what they have working. However, to be fair, I generally walk in when I ask people, do you have a documented sales process? The laughter in the room kind of tells you the answer before they can answer, because the real question is, do they even have a sales process? Now, the truth is, we're talking good business people. They're smart people. They're winging it. They know what to do.
Yep.
It gets harder and harder as you have more people that you're trying to get to wing it, because everyone starts doing it differently. So, in fairness, we don't even have documented sales processes built. But when we get to that point, it's then getting into the CRM. So, in a lot of cases, it's that they then realize, well, maybe I don't really have that right CRM they don't know who to call. They don't know who to touch. So it's either that or, unfortunately, I run into a lot. It's like, what CRM do you have? And it's like, they're showing me Excel spreadsheets as their CRM.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, that's a beautiful CRM. But I do know that's an immediate opportunity for Sales Hub. So what I'm saying there is there's a lot of tools that I work with that can help people with their existing tool. But if you, mine is great at target integration. They're out of San Diego as an example.
Yep.
Now they're going to adjust to the time zones. Matisel, same thing. So, there is no one other with Brad. Brad does a great job, but that's really higher in on the Salesforce.
And that's the thing is,
ERP.
right? That's the main difference is, you have companies who there's a big disconnect, right? There's those who have it all set up correctly and using Salesforce, right? Those guys are spending, millions of dollars on these integrations, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Small businesses don't have that kind of money to spend on a system that works. And then to your point, Dean, the repeatable sales process, it's huge. Like, you could break down, and as you know, anything that person is winging it, he's winging it, but he's really following the same formula of winging it every single time. So if you could break down that formula of what that guy does and put it into a workflow process, right? Well, then now you can train everybody to follow, hey, this is the workflow you do. When you get a business card at an event, right? You put that business card's contact into this workflow, and all these things happen every single time. This is the follow-up that you do with them, right? And so those kind of things can be, and I'm sure like how many times have you been to, when you talk to somebody as far as their sales guys, how often they follow up with the customers, how often, I'm assuming that every single time it's different for different sales guys.
Well, you're assuming they're following up.
Yeah, exactly, or following up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stats, and you were on the call earlier with Gordon Ho, some of those stats are downright frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's of the follow-up, it's between 25% to 50% never have follow-up after the initial sales call.
And oftentimes, it happens because, one, you get sidetracked, right? Like to follow up, you have to make a note for yourself, right? Like a calendar, and probably a calendar note to say, hey, I need to follow up with this guy at this time, whatever. If it's a workflow that we built out, that you have, it will notify you automatically. So if, you send an email, you send a text message to this person, this is all, keep in mind, this is all done through a workflow. So you just added a contact, and these things happen for, let's say next week or 2 weeks, right? And then it will notify you to, hey, now is time for you to make a follow-up by phone because of X, Y, and Z. So that's kind of that leads me to the next kind of two stages of the marketing process. It's the remarketing and the reach, right? So you followed up with them, whether it's just a regular follow up or whether it's with content. So we here's another problem with saying, hey, do this, but then people don't actually do it. And that's the problem that we also had with Sales Hub is we can say, hey, you got to write content, then you have to post it, you have to send it out to the newsletter, and you got to send it to your ideal customers or your previous customers, and then we're going to set up these ads. Anyways, nobody did any of that, right? Because it requires you to be a marketing person, right? That's kind of what it is. And so oftentimes people just don't do the legwork. So we kind of took it a step further, and we were like, okay, we will put that content out for you in a way that will, we'll write the content, we'll put it on your website, we'll set up the remarketing so that your ad, your low level ads. So if somebody goes to your website, now we can just retarget them for pennies to show your ad to them until they're ready to buy from you. So we set up those systems, and then we post that content on your website and into your newsletter, and we send it out. And so we put together all that whole system behind as well. So,
well, see, one of the things you're probably doing is losing some folks on the call or the video now. And I say that because when people think of a CRM, generally I'm seeing them use it as contacts, pipeline, and also they're going to the dashboard.
Yep.
You're talking about them running their business. And I know that I personally use SalesHubHQ, and that was the part that kind of backed me up because I'm like, is my business is growing. I've got to be a lot more methodical myself with how I'm using the CRM. But again, I was thinking content, task management, follow-up, pipeline, dashboard.
Yeah.
But now, really, the two of you, with what we're doing with podcasts, the website, the workflow, the webhooks in, the automatic messaging out, as I've joked with, with Steve before, when I was meeting with him, and, it looked like he was playing Pac-Man. And I'm like, no, this meeting's about me. You're trying to help me. But he had that separate screen, and he's like, no, you don't understand. I'm watching the traffic on the website, and we're learning because we already know based on the path that people come on to the website and what they do, we now know what we're going to follow up and send them. And he said it really helps us separate those that are there as tire kickers to learn versus those that are really serious. And that's kind of what you've educated me on, because when I signed up under SalesHubHQ, it was more to use it as a basic CRM. And now, as a small business, what I'm already seeing the benefits are far-reaching. 2026 is unbelievable, but the activity right now is so large. If I didn't have that set up, but already I'm watching the integration with what you're doing with YouTube and the video piece, which is so important today with reaching people, with what you're doing with the website, the content, and tying that all together. I think that's the part that most people, whether they're solopreneurs, especially small businesses, they don't expect that you can do that affordably.
That's another thing, is that, Dean, exactly the point, is that having all of those systems together, oftentimes people don't even know, like what you just said, right? Like you didn't know all of the things that come together to make it all work together, right? All the systems that are required, everything, how it's interconnected. So that's exactly kind of what we were trying to do, is give you a full system in a box kind of thing, with everything being connected, everything being set up from day one. You're not having to figure out your own workflows. You're not having to use 20 different tools that are linked together with Zapier. The idea is that, you basically just get a complete system. And that's where I think a lot of people struggle to build that out themselves.
Well, talk about the pricing on the system itself, because I think that is something that most folks get sticker shock, and at every turn they think it's going to cost them that much more. And, they really are going, I'm just crawling here. Maybe I'm taking some baby steps. This has got to be a huge endeavor to run, whereas it really isn't.
Right. Yeah. That's another thing, is I was saying big companies, that's what separates us. The big companies have the budget to do a complete, implementation of Salesforce. Well, whatever it might be, even HubSpot. If you look at the prices on that, it's just very expensive. Yeah, it's extremely expensive to get that. And I think once you start having their integrators do the integration, I think it starts at like thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. So we kind of flipped that whole, on its head. We are offering the very basic package is $97 a month, and you get a free website with that. The idea is that you get access to the CRM, you get a smart website that is connected with the contact forms, the calendar bookings, and you also get the reputation management. So you're able to have people, I didn't touch base on that, but essentially the way it works is when you send out a request for any time that you have an interaction with somebody, whether, you've completed service, you did something for them, send them a review, it's an automated, message that goes out to them with a link. When they go into that, they have an option to select, either 1 star or 1 through 5 stars. If they give you anything below 4 stars, it takes you to an internal contact form they fill out, and then it lets you kind of privately be able to resolve their, whatever the reason they left you low reviews. And if they leave you a 4 or 5 star reviews, then that asks you to leave that review on a public site. So it kind of ensures that you only get positive reviews for your business. I know a lot of people are afraid of that. So all that, you basically get a free website, you get all the integrations, access to the CRM, and then the the calendar and everything else, reputation management for $97 a month. The next step is $297, and basically that we throw in an AI piece to it. So we help you integrate the AI chat. So it's essentially, think of it as like a AI secretary that picks up calls when you can't, and it's able to book appointments, change appointments, do that kind of secretary stuff for you, answer questions about your company since we train it. The chat bot that's going to be on your website, we also train that on your company data, your company voice, so that it answers the questions the way you want it to answer questions for you. And we help create a lead magnet, so being able to then capture that traffic. So when somebody goes on your website, they're able to exchange their information for something worthwhile that you're going to offer. That worthwhile component is what we try to build. And the price on that is $297. And then the final kind of like the highest tier package that we have is $497 a month. And we basically take that and so everything that you got, and we also add the content piece to it. So you'll get biweekly articles, you'll get biweekly newsletters. We set up the low cost retargeting ads for you. Mm-hmm. And and then configure all that and kind of keep track of the engagement. So when somebody clicks on your newsletter link, or that goes to your website, we track those engagements. And once it hits a certain point, you get notified to, hey, this is a hot lead. You need to reach out to them by phone.
Well, that could even be applicable to a lot of solopreneurs.
Yep.
Now, at what point I know the 97, is it 99?
Yeah, 97.
Is for one user.
It's for...
How does it scale up with multiple users?
Yeah, so it's one user, and you have 1,500 contacts that you can have in there. The next step, and all the other packages are all unlimited, so you can have as many users as you want. If it's sales guys or whoever it is, are able to access it, and they have unlimited contacts.
So for a small business that has an owner, maybe another leader or two, a sales team they could be the sales team, or they could have 1 to 2, 3, 4 salespeople. You're saying they could get into that entire package for less than $500 a month?
Yep, basically.
And if they had targeted marketing they're doing out of the design library on SalesHubHQ, and maybe they have 10, 25,000 target clients, you're saying that all can be built in as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Having the process, having the content, and then as a matter of fact, once those leads come in, right, we can have it set up to where if you have several salespeople, those leads could be divided between the salespeople, so that you can, like round robin, basically the leads to them. So so everybody gets the benefits of the entire system essentially.
So if you knew a partner that could help with content like video and other content that would go on a website. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Any partners that you can think of?
Exactly. Yeah, Jeff over here. Now he does awesome work. I've actually
me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm here. Yes.
I will vouch for him. I've seen plenty of websites. I've been around the space for a while. There's a difference between building a website and building a website that kind of speaks to the audience that it's supposed to speak to, and in a way that's effective. And Jeff knocks it out of the park. So, I really will, really vouch for that.
I want to get back into follow-up if we can. I think follow-up, because we talked about it, but I really want people that listen or watch this show to really understand how important that is and how important Sales Hub HQ is in that process. Because from my marketing agency perspective, if we bring in leads, but then we don't have a system to follow up with them, then what happens? They're called garbage leads. They don't go anywhere. And business owners think that once they get a lead, the job is over. But the job is just beginning. And that's not even really a lead at that point. That's just somebody to kind of raise their hand.
Yep.
From there, you do lead scoring, which is what you were talking about, to be able to actually qualify those leads, correct?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's being able to, engage with them. Oftentimes you have to think how many times that you research something and then you don't pull the trigger for months later, right? Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. As a matter of fact, in our business and in IT services, oftentimes people are are in contracts. So when we reach out to somebody, they might be like, I'm pissed off on my client and my, provider, but I can't go anywhere right now because I'm in this agreement for the next 5-6 months, right? So if that's the case, then that's when you have to stay on top of mind. And staying on top of mind can be, several ways. Is newsletters with content, and typically that's where, people oftentimes fail with that. I'm sure Jeff, is people will send out either it's garbage content or it's no content at all, and it's just, hey, buy from me, right?
It's just sales.
Yeah, it's just a sales request. It's never you want to typically give before you ask, and oftentimes people just ask, right? And they don't build any credibility to be able to ask for a gift. So having having things like the newsletter, having things like the remarketing ads where you can just stay on top of it, and then just posting things, having a YouTube channel, having content that goes out on LinkedIn, all those things absolutely help with kind of keeping you on top of mind. And there's no tricks. And I mean, Jeff, you'll attest to this. There is no like marketing, like, oh, you do this and this is the trick to like, that's all you got to do, right? It's, you have to do this, you could do that. Like we send out physical mail. We have a campaign where we email you a piece of letter, and then we follow up with an email, then we follow up with, another email, and then we follow up with a phone call. Like, so it's, so when you reach out to the person, they've already know who you are, at least if they've seen your stuff. So that is all part of it. I mean, if you can do all of those pieces, then you're going to be a lot more successful.
Yeah. And, Sales Hub is also a platform, from what the research I've done, is it grows with you. So this isn't just for a small mom and pop shop, although it's certainly very beneficial for them, but it can grow with a company all the way through the mid-tier into the businesses that I'd say Dean works with more than I do at this time. So can you kind of speak to that a little bit more on that?
Yeah.
Like, because it's a huge program and you can get lost in there.
Yeah.
So you really have to start with the basics. And then I'm assuming, you're kind of an engineer with that and a consultant, and you kind of help build that out from what their true needs are.
Exactly. Yeah. And the way I usually say it is, there's specific softwares for specific industries that we're not trying to replace. In our space, we have our, basically our software that manages users. Like, you're able to remote into their machines. We're able to, store passwords, knowledge base, all that. These are huge software packages. They're designed primarily for managing endpoints, managing the security on our software, on our clients. That's not what this is for, right? Think of this as like the front of getting users into your system. Once they come into your system, you're able to then put them, put that contact, now that you've onboarded and now they're with you, you can put them into, actually managing them with your specific business need in the software that you're using to manage them. So that's kind of the one thing that I want to make sure that that's clear. We're not trying to replace, everybody's system, ERP, all the billing that they're doing. If it's working right now, that's fine. But we're effectively wanting to create this forefront for when people come to you first, before they get into your system. Yeah. That's where Sales Hub kind of sits.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's great for sales reps. You mentioned this briefly again, which is you can scan a business card into the system, and then it'll automate a whole follow-up sequence after that, which is great when you're out networking. You can take it and just take a photo, scan it, boom, and then it's being taken care of, instead of having all these business cards and putting them in a drawer.
Well, and then that's what typically happens, right? When people go to not with Dean. No, I know Dean will follow up like 7 times. He'll mark his calendar with it, but not everybody is Dean.
You really don't, I swear. I don't think
that's 100% it. But if you're not as disciplined as Dean, okay, like for the rest of us mortals, the fact that you go to the booth and you come out with pocket full of these business cards, and you're just like, you throw them in your desk, and then or you follow up with them like weeks later, maybe send an email or something. But if you had a full built out process that you want to do when you get a business card, right, which could be a text message, an email, a follow up, maybe another request for a business, for a meeting, whatever that might be, right? We can build that process out. We can build it out for you if you need it, and then all you do is you just drop that contact in, and then you don't have to worry about it, and then you just hope that an appointment just shows up on your calendar, and it's that person, because as a matter of fact, you've already sent them 5 emails and text messages,
and it's scored them well.
And exactly, and then they were able to exactly, they engaged with you.
In your example, the business cards and trade shows is a great example. because I know in the world I'm in, one of the toolkits I use is sales acceleration. And one of the things that exists is a 6-prong approach to your business. And I mean, that can include your CRM, that will include your website, your newsletter, your trusted advisors, your seminars, your workshops. And, you go through that. But the one thing that, I've learned is don't judge a book by its cover. And we've all been taught that by our parents over the years. But a business card is like that because, as you guys both know, right now, I'm getting opportunities from business owners telling other business owners. There's actually probably nothing more sweet than that. Mm-hmm. From trusted advisors that I may have touched 2 years ago, others that I've stayed in line of sight, in line of mind. As you guys know, I mean, it's kind of comical because if you'd have asked me 120 days ago, hey, tell me about your newsletter, I'm like, hey, it looks really cool, but I wish people would actually read it. I can see they're open it. Well, turns out a lot of them are reading it, which is, I think I was probably the one that was more surprised. But yeah, I think about those business cards. People make assumptions on the sales side because we always try to go to what we think is the low-hanging fruit. Mm. And we're going to focus there, but yet the card right next to it, and I'm using business cards as an analogy to all of what we touch, but that one right next to it may be that sleeping giant that is a much better opportunity. So, but again, everything you're talking about, and Jeff, you too, it's about a tool to run the business. I don't even think you've mentioned the word CRM, Dmitry.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't, because when you think of a CRM, right, you're thinking of it's tools, right? And the tools don't really drive in your results. I mean, you can give an analogy. You can give a hammer to somebody, right, and ask them to build a house. One person might be able to figure out how to do it, but another one can't. So a tool it's not really a useful thing unless you're an engineer, unless you're a tech person, unless you're marketing professional who can take that tool and do something with it. So that's why I don't like to call it a CRM, because CRM is a tool, and there's millions of them that are out there, or not millions, but there's hundreds of them that are out there that more or less kind of do accomplish the same tasks. Just how do you actually accomplish them, and how do you put them all into one system that actually works together to, again, what's the result of these tools? Like, you're not doing these tools just to have them, just to be like, hey, this is cool. Like, this AI chat is cool. The point of that is to drive traffic. The point of that is to get leads. The point of that is to grow your business. That's what these tools are all designed for, but they're just tools unless you put them into one system that actually accomplishes that task.
I don't think you haven't met David Noor, have you?
I don't think so.
He's a good friend of Jeff and mine. Besides, if you try to talk to CRM, he would tell you that the R is gone because people keep forgetting about the relationship part. So I'm not sure what you would call a CRM when the R is taken out. I guess CM. I'm not really sure, but it's a great point. I mean, but he will always, you'll hear about the R's missing, and of course, everything he does is around relationship economics and that intentional touch cadence so that you can nurture and build meaningful relationships over time. And I think you're really talking the same, because at the end of the day, you're not even mentioning it. But again, I do think most business owners would sit back and go, hold on a second, you're going to turnkey this and help me have this turnkey package. It's almost like a Dmitry in the box, if you will. Or I guess we'll call it SalesHubHQ in a box. Mm-hmm. But I think they are anticipating this one to cost significantly more. The endeavor itself frightens them to the point they're going, this just isn't worth it. So I think anything that you can continue to do, and I know that the three of us are doing a lot of things together, and I'm really looking forward to some of the upcoming workshops, because I'm telling you, most folks do not realize that this capability can be this simple and straightforward approach. But along with that, I think that, you and I talked about this on Friday, the two things that stand out to me about Alpha CIS and SalesHubHQ is one, they get Dmitry. if someone works more hours than me, it's probably you, but you're accessible, you care. And I think that part is so critical. The other part is Atlanta based. I'm not saying there's no one else that exists, but I am not aware of another company that is the CRM that can talk to the owner of the company in Atlanta, Georgia. So I know for me, SalesHubHQ is my go-to, but I've got a pretty good testimonial because I use it effectively myself. So, I've switched to that. I know you have, you're still training me on the design library piece, which as you know, I like to do a lot of that myself, probably sadistic and probably shouldn't. I'm not as good as a lot of other folks, but I do enjoy that part because I find that on the messaging part, it's as simple. It's probably more simple for me to do it.
Yeah. Well, especially, you want to have the ability to control the messaging, the voice that you're setting out. And that's kind of the big thing is, oftentimes you go to these, big agencies or whatever, and they're just giving you some generic crap that they just post up for you, and you really don't have much of a say in anything. I don't like to do that. Obviously we want to make sure that the content and everything, that people have the control over what is actually going out them. And so you see everything that's there. I mean, you'll get access to all of it. You'll be able to change whatever you want your newsletter to be or whatever. But worst case scenario, if you don't care for that sort of thing and you're just fine with it, it's the actions will be happening for you. And that's kind of the main thing is oftentimes people don't take those steps and don't take those actions themselves. Setting up a newsletter, Dean, you're great at that. Most people aren't though. So
I'm looking forward to really promoting SalesHubHQ in the newsletter, on LinkedIn posts, and anything I'm doing in demand gen, but as well as in blogs. I mean, I think, especially with a lot of the algorithms on LinkedIn now, taking the time to truly build your own content and put it in a blog, newsletter, if you will, via LinkedIn. I mean, that's really the main area where you're going to see you're getting the natural boost, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah, LinkedIn newsletters are great. I think everybody should have a LinkedIn newsletter. It's the easiest way to reach people that are in your network. You're already doing it. I would highly recommend it, bar none. Also, Dean, I just want to say this, shout out to whoever works with Dean. He is the most will bat for you, will if he likes your products, he will really he will really support you. So big shout out for that.
I appreciate you saying that. I actually wore this hat for you today.
I like it.
Of course, I did put my own logo on, and I would have. And I think we were talking earlier. My older son has a friend that is actually my Christmas gift is T-shirts. So. Yeah, I will be in a T-shirt and shorts the next time.
I like it.
Normally, I see this guy.
That's more my style.
Oh, it is. And at least Katie Bell at Christmas got me this wonderful mug. So
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool. But
It's nice to have good kids, Dean.
they did a nice job.
Good.
I'm not I say I'm not the easiest. If it's Georgia Bulldogs or Sales Growth Imagination. I am making it easier for people, but they were kind of worn out after many, many years of Georgia going, what else couldn't we get him? So
Yeah.
I think they went right to the company stuff.
That's good.
So,
Well, let's before we wrap everything up, let's talk about the future, 2026. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be 2026, anyways. Are there any additions to the software? Anything that you're kind of working on behind the scenes that we get to look forward to?
Yeah. So thanks for asking about that. So just recently, we kind of rolled out the components where we're talking about where people aren't actually doing the work. So we're going to be creating the content. So based on based on the target market, the target persona that were all the questions that we're going to have you fill out. Essentially, we'll then be able to use that to create the content for you for ongoing basis and post that. And of course, send out the content on your behalf to your customers or to your prospects to kind of drive traffic. So that component of it is new, and that's what we're trying to work on, and sort of that's going to be pushing that in 2026.
Okay, that's great. Again, because it's becoming kind of an all-in-one deal.
Yep.
That's good.
How about yourself for 2026? Because, I mean, you've taught me so much about the power of the video.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm listening to clients saying, I'm not sure I'm getting the reaction I need in the play with demand lead gen, even those on the phone. That works for some, not everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so behind the scenes currently working on a completely new platform. We're calling it the Visible Founder and the Visible Founder Playbook. And so this is all based on the fact that you can't hide behind logos anymore, especially in 2026 and moving forward. The younger generations want to see founder-led companies actually be founder-led on camera. And so this lines perfectly up for what I do for a living between personal brand websites. We're calling them executive brand websites, video podcasting, as well as other knowledge-based videos that we're going to be creating for founders. It's just another leg of the business that we're doing. I'm really excited about it. I'm writing a lot of content on it. All that's going to be coming out here in the next year, a lot of video for that. My goal, honestly, is to network as much as humanly possible, to build and build and build, creating as much video as I can, annoy people to no end, because I know that's going to be the best way to get people to understand what they have to do. So the whole 2026 is me drinking my own Kool-Aid is really the end of the day.
and I think showing it, because I know that the audience doesn't know this, but with the new Sales Growth Imagination website, it's really good. And you have, with the content and, how you're purposing it, and, because I think the one thing you do as a content creation and person in position in it is you understand the strategic part. So most people that do what you do, I think they struggle with the business strategy.
Yeah.
And that's where I know I'm personally excited because of you guys and what we're doing. And I'm a big believer in what you just said, drink your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I can actually be a lot more credible. I also will know the content and the delivery, so I can speak from what's worked and where I also struggled and things I had to learn. So
That's so important.
And you guys know I do that with everything I touch, whether it's Avner, Level 42 with Lee Blackstone, KnowledgeNet, obviously Gordon Ho with Rainmaker.net.
And sales playbooks too.
Yeah, and Sales Playbooks with Drew. That's right. You know pretty much all of them.
I do now.
Well, they all want to be on the Business Growth Playbook with Jeff and Dean.
That's right. They want to be on the show.
And they really want to be on with Jeff, and they know they have to be because my name's on it too. So
Yes, it is.
they have to let me join it.
Now, you're definitely being able to tell to specialize with content, build the website that speaks to it. Yeah, Jeff knocks it out. So.
But the thing you both do is you take it from it looking good, say dashboards or say a website. Everything you guys talk about is lead tracking. How do we follow up with each person that's touching that website or in CRM? How are we using it to drive business? And right now, 2026, what's beautiful about it is so many people that I'm talking to, everyone is rethinking, what can I do differently to be better in 26? And a lot of people are saying, I can't be like what I was in 25 again. I must do something. But there's a lot of people doing well. They're just simply trying to be better. So
I think everyone kind of senses a change in the weather, if you will, in the business weather. There's a change happening. There's a change happening on LinkedIn. You mentioned it earlier today with some algorithmic changes. The platforms will always have algorithmic changes. I'm seeing some of the similar things on YouTube as well. And so, that's why having the follow-up, having the CRM minus the R, or actually with the R, because you're actually doing the R, is so important. Having somebody who is a master of sales is so important. Having a marketing agency, having somebody that can brand you, executive brand you, all that is so important. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It was a podcast episode, but it was almost more of a roundtable as we kind of got into it, and something that we should do more of, and get more people involved and do larger roundtables and really kind of really go all out. Just a little brainstorm while we're on camera. Why not? But before we go, is there anything else that, frankly, either one of you guys want to discuss before we wrap up the episode?
I'm excited about the speaking events in January and also February.
Right.
So, I mean, while one of those is kind of a closed, they both are closed events in that they're with Vistage chairs and Vistage groups, but one of them, I'm actually working with the Vistage chair, and everyone will see more about what we're doing at Joja Lab and a big Vistage experience with Bob McDonald on the 27th of January. That I'm really looking forward to that event. But in February, with Gordon Ho and what he's doing within LinkedIn, because I'm I don't use LinkedIn to drive business. I know you guys both are like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I really don't. Or when I say that, in line of sight, in line of mind with my trusted advisors and people that I'm connected to. But past that, I'm not looking at that venue for business owners. I'm doing that via workshops and trying to touch as many business owners, not to sell them, but to educate and have a conversation. Because if a business owner is not ready for the kind of services I provide, that's okay. They might be at a later date, or they may go, hey, he seemed like a pretty genuine guy. When they talk to someone else and they hear someone saying, I really need some help, they're like, hey, you ought to call Dean. Because the one thing I know is business owners know and regularly talk to other business owners to get better. So I think that part, when we get to February 10th and 13th, I know both of you guys are going to be a part of promoting that and being there. That one I'm really excited about because Gordon is also speaking to multiple Vistage chair groups on the 11th and 12th of that same week. So he's kind of looking at, Atlanta, Georgia as a big market for him. And for someone that is in Kansas City, a big KU graduate, normally a big KU basketball fan. This year he said it was a little more tough, as you know. But I think those events, we have a wonderful opportunity to learn by. But I see a lot of business owners being at those events based on the initial reception already.
Great.
So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Dean touched on that point. Doing the events and speaking to people and kind of showing them, bringing in experts in to talk about certain things is awesome. I love that. So yeah, I would definitely be interested in checking it out.
I'm looking forward to showcasing SalesHubHQ, and since the majority of the owners that'll be there, predominance will all be Atlanta-based SMBs or enterprise accounts, I think there's a huge play there. So that's what gets me most excited about these workshops, because that'll be the first big showcase, I think, in person for SalesHubHQ.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, definitely. I think being able to get in front of people and talk and make a real connection with them, it goes a long way.
And Jeff's in good shoes because everybody wants to be filmed. So if you're there, unless you ask a tough question, they're going to want to be on camera because they're like, hey, this thing might be out posted.
Hopefully it's not live.
It's not live. That way we can spin it the way we want to spin it, of course. No, but everybody needs to come off natural. That's the whole thing. In the age of AI, the more human you are, the more you're going to be able to actually acquire more business, because more AI you are, it's just people just can sense it now, to the point where everyone's like, that's AI, even if it's not. I was reading a children's book to my kids the other night. It was a Christmas Berenstain Bears book, and there were M dashes all over that book.
I love those
and
things.
I'm like, M dashes. This book's from like 1976. For crying out loud.
That was probably the proper way of writing, but like nobody knew that until AI came along, and now they just put EM dashes everywhere, and you're like,
writers are constantly saying, look, we've always used M dashes, but now we can't because AI has ruined it for us.
Also, I want to see somebody who knows the trick keyboard combination that puts that long dash in.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is.
Nope.
I don't know what it is. I've tried researching it to figure out like what you're supposed to press, but nope, no dice.
So where can people find you?
So LinkedIn, I'm most active there. Just look me up, Dmitriy Teplinskiy. You can also go to SalesHubHQ.com. You can grab a growth call, kind of discovery call on there. We'll get together, look at what you're working with, figure out ways how we can implement our systems and make your business grow. And go from there.
Awesome. Sounds great. And Dean, where can people find you?
They can find me on my website, salesgrowthimagination.com. On LinkedIn, as you guys both know, I spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
But I'm still a big believer in a conversation. So reaching out on cell at 404-307-1841. And thank you, Katie Bell, for the wonderful mug that my two friends are very jealous about.
That's true. We're very jealous.
Dean's phone is about to blow up with people trying to sell him insurance. And expired insurance policies.
And lead gen.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, always lead gen. You can find me at jeffvevans.com. Again, thanks for watching the Business Growth Playbook. Have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks.